Welcome back. You're still watching The Globe. Let's look at some sporting issues with a political overtone. The FIFA Congress has voted in favour of the suspension of Zimbabwe, Kenya and Pakistan from the world football family. The global football indaba in Qatar confirmed the suspension of the three federations following government interference into their affairs.
FIFA has suspended the Zimbabwe, Kenya and Pakistan federations from any participation in the sport. The ban means that three countries cannot compete in age-restricted or international club competitions. Local clubs will also be prohibited from participating in continental inter-club competitions. The decision by the FIFA Council highlights that the world governing body remains unapologetic when governments involve themselves in footballing affairs. Article 17 of the FIFA regulation specifies that each member shall manage its affairs independently and with no influence from third parties. FIFA have, however, deliberately turned a blind eye on the situation in England, where the country's football association announced sanctions on Premiership side Chelsea Football Club as part of the sanctions targeting former club owner Roman Abramovich for his links with Russia. Critics have said that if FIFA can ban Zimbabwe, Kenya and Pakistan for third-party interference, then the English FA should also be banned because their government was also straying into football governance, which should be independent from government politics.
All right, so three countries are banned by FIFA from all footballing activities. Now, Robson Sharuko is the editor of the H Metro newspaper in Zimbabwe. And he joins us now from Harare to give us a little bit more on this story. Thanks so much indeed for joining us, Robson. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, too. I'm happy to be on your program. It's late at night, on a Sunday, but I think we can talk.
Thank you so much indeed. Now, in my memory, Zimbabwe certainly has had its fair share of controversies when it comes to football. What's the latest drama that's seen FIFA step in?
Thank you. Basically, we go back to November last year, to be precise. That's when the Sport and Recreation Commission decided that they did enough of what was happening at Zifa, and then they took the decision to suspend the entire Zifa board. And after that suspension in January, there were reports that Zimbabwe, the Warriors, the national team, might not feature in the AFCON 2021 tournament in Cameroon simply because there were a number of FIFA officials who were not happy that the elected FIFA board had been pushed out of office, and a committee which is meant to restructure Zimbabwean football had been put in place, and that committee is meant to investigate issues related to the governance of Zimbabwean football and come up with a blueprint where they will then advise on the way forward. Because if you follow Zimbabwean football very well, you understand that this is not the first time that we have had all these issues related to the boardroom where inadequate, the management has not been up to the expectations of the populace in Zimbabwe. If you recall very well, we missed the 2018 World Cup qualifiers because we had been thrown out of the tournament simply because our football leaders had failed to pay a Brazilian coach called Valinos, whom they'd engaged to be part of our qualifiers for the 2010 World Cup. And so all these effects and all these challenges, I think, matters came to a head in November last year. And I think from the very beginning, we have to be very clear that the Sport and Recreation Commission knew exactly the mindset that they were stepping onto, because even on the very first day when they announced the suspension of the Zifa board, they had this covered that we know that we might be suspended from international football, but crucially, we are happy to bite the bullet. We are happy to take in the pain because we believe that the short-term pain cannot then be put ahead of the long-term gain. That was their message. But critically, people are concerned because the fans want to see their national team playing. This is this is part of their passion.
Yeah.
This is what they want to express. They want to express themselves in the stadiums. And the Warriors, to their credit, have done commendably well. I think they've qualified for the last 3 AFCON finals. You cannot say the same about the Zambians who have won the tournament before. You cannot even say the same about Bafana because they've missed 2 and qualified for 1. So they've been like the torchbearers in terms of the regional football in the last couple of years. So for them now to be suspended, I think it affects the fans more than anybody else, because the fans want to see their Nakambas, they want to see their Sonas, they want to see their Billiard, even though Billiard announced that he had quit from international football. But we believe that his decision to quit was also influenced by all the negativity, the toxicity that exists within the Zimbabwean football network.
So if I'm reading you correctly, there were genuine problems within Zifa before the Sports Recreation Council moved in, and that left without some kind of intervention, things were not getting better. Is that a true assessment?
I think it is, Peter, obviously, because when you look at the potential that Zimbabwean football has, if you look even on if you look at the players that we produce, I mean, before the 2 Zambians went to join the Premiership, I think in the last 2 years, we were the only Southern African nation that had a player who was playing regularly in the English Premiership. That's Marvelous Nakamba. We produce players who come from Norway, and even in South Africa. I think it would be fair for you to acknowledge that the Zimbabwean players have left a huge mark in the Premiership there. So basically, we haven't seen the progress that the fans, the journalists, even the administrators themselves want to see coming from the potential that is there in Zimbabwean football. And the Achilles heel all the time has been the management. There have been a number of characters who have been parachuted into leading Zimbabwean football. And when you look at them, they don't have the history of being good enough to manage something as big as managing the national affairs of a country
Robson,
when it comes to their national sport.
Who put them there? Who put this leadership in place?
In this country, we've got an animal called the FIFA Congress. Until 2 years ago or so, there were people who were in that FIFA Congress since 1990. So these are the kingmakers. They are the ones who play the boardroom games when all the doors have been shut and you and me have gone to sleep. These are the people then who converge and do the maths, they do all the donkey work, the politics and so forth. And they put in people without any recognizable, traceable history in managing, let alone club football. And you find somebody who has never managed even a club team. Let's say, for argument's sake, a team like Chippa United, somebody who hasn't been put into those structures to manage a club like Chippa United, being parachuted to then take over the affairs of Zifa, not only take over, but lead the affairs of Zifa. I think this is where we have found ourselves wanting. I'll give you a shocking example. You understand very well that sport in particular and football itself has been affected in the last few years by COVID-19. And FIFA then trying to recharge football, then brought in what is called the COVID Relief Fund. And there were quite a few million that were spread all over the entire international football family. And Zimbabwe got its chunk of money. 500,000 was specifically meant to go and reboot the women's football. Imagine that we as Zimbabwe, as small as we are, will produce the women's national team that has gone to play at the Olympics. They were there at the Olympics in 2016. The other team from Africa were Banyana. This tells you the quality and the potential that we have in this region to really do very well. But the 500,000 that was meant for women's football never went into those structures. Wow. And now Zimbabwe's women's team is suffering. And the Premier League is like the PSL in South Africa. This is the major league in the pyramid of league football in Zimbabwe. they got less money than what went into what were called the ghost coffers, like the Division 4. We haven't had the active Division 4. We haven't had the active Division 5. But suddenly, these leagues were brought into life specifically to milk the COVID relief fund. So rather than bailing out the Premier League, we ended up bailing non-existent leagues. And now we have a number of clubs who should ordinarily be doing very well at local level. If they had received the support that was supposed to come to them, they're struggling. They cannot afford. Some of them, a big team like Cape United, which is the third biggest team in this country, doesn't have a sponsor. It's struggling. Today they lost 2-1 in a game that everybody thought they would win. And people have been saying it's because of the in-house challenges that they have. But when the money comes that should help them, like the money that comes from FIFA, it doesn't go to them. That's where the challenges lie in Zim football. And of course, we have a lot of fans who are unhappy that the national team, the Warriors, might miss the 2023 AFCON. And that is quite bad because those players will be paying a price for issues that have got nothing to do with
no
it.
control
When you talk to the national team players...
Robson, I'm going to hurry us along because of time. From what you're saying, it sounds as if there are issues bordering on corruption actually taking place. And if that's the case, is FIFA aware?
I don't think FIFA really cares about what happens in the national association. I think we have had issues like in Namibia right now. I think they've been trying to resolve the similar issues to what is happening in Zimbabwe right now. I think they've put in another normalization committee. The people who are going to run Namibian Football Association are not the people who were elected to run the game. So I'm seeing in Madagascar, I was reading today, there are problems there. I think there have been suspicions and so forth. So FIFA really doesn't care whether money that they put into didn't go to the actual targets. FIFA only cares about their politics. Next year, the FIFA presidential election is going to be held. So what FIFA cares about is who's supporting Gianni Infantino, nothing else. If you are coming in and you are giving a promise that you support Gianni Infantino, whether everybody can show that Peter Ndoro abused money, nobody cares in FIFA.
All right. Who's running Zifa right now?
It's supposed to be the secretariat, but like FIFA have told us clearly that Zimbabwe, the Sports Recreation Commission, they need to reinstate the Zifa elected members that they pushed out. So the Sports and Recreation Commission have said, we are not going to do that. We'll let the Zifa secretariat run the affairs of Zimbabwean football until we reach a point where we believe that reforms have been made and whatever processes that come through can bring out a Zifa leader who has got the capacity to lead us to the point where we believe we can get. Right now, the situation, the good thing is the FIFA Congress themselves, they were supposed to hold a meeting, what is called the extraordinary general meeting, to revoke the mandate of their elected leadership. But FIFA told them that you can't do that. You can only start to call your meeting after the 3rd of April. So it was after today, then they could have had 3 weeks to call a meeting. But now, with all the developments, I don't think that meeting, even if they call it and sit down and revoke the mandate of the elected leadership of FIFA, which has been suspended, I don't think that FIFA will say, yes, we agree with that, we endorse that. I think FIFA will only say, go back and reinstate those suspended leaders, and that's the problem. But we've got a number of issues that
Robson,
are in court. Right now, the headlines...
We've run out of time, but I think this is something that we will revisit very soon. But thank you so much indeed for joining us this evening. Tatenda zvikuru mwoyo wangu.
Thanks, Tatenda Nenio. Thanks a lot, my brother.
Thank you. All right, so that's Robson Sharuko, who's with the H Metro newspaper in Zimbabwe, speaking to us from Harare. And it's not great news for Zimbabwean football. It looks as if this issue is very complicated, and perhaps FIFA, running its rules hard, maybe needs to look a little bit more circumspectly at the situation in the country. All right, a lot more still to come right here. Stay with us.